One of my all-time favorite words in any human language is the Yiddish word bupkis. Bupkis is Yiddish for zero or nothing. And so I think it's a great travesty that historians have not taken to calling the Russo-Japanese War World War Bupkis. So from now on, that's what I will call it. Please, the preceding piece of information was not relevant to you in any way. Please disregard it in its entirety. So after Roosevelt leaves office, great big old William Howard Taft becomes president. 6 feet tall, 340-pound William Howard Taft, and he shifts our foreign policy away from one centered primarily on military force, whether the use of military force or just the threat of military force. Not that he disbands the military or anything like that, but he shifts it away from one focused more on the economy. He wants to substitute dollars for bullets. And so his foreign policy is known as dollar diplomacy. One example of this in use is that he noticed that many Central American countries were just riddled with debt to European powers. And so Taft reaches into his pocket, pulls out his $1,000 and $500 bills, and says, "Hey, whoa, hey, we got this. We'll pay your debt for you." So we pay off the debts of these Central American countries to Europe, and now everybody's friends and everybody lives happily ever after. It's a tactic often used by the mafia. That organized crime leaders will purchase your debt, and then, hey, everything's great? Nope. Now they own you. All right? And so once we've paid off the Central American countries' debts, now they owe us, and we can make them do whatever they want. And when they don't, well, we've still got that. Roosevelt's gone, but the big stick is there, so we've still got that. And you can read about several instances of how that plays out in section 22.5 of the OpenStax textbook. Another important element of Taft's foreign policy is he realized we've got so much relying on our trade relationship with Asia, and which is in turn so much dependent on the complicated international Asian relationships and the various loyalties and conflicts and centuries and millennia long resentments, and turns out we don't know anything about that. So he reorganizes the State Department to create geographical divisions so that one division will focus on the Far East, one on Latin America, one on Western Europe, etc., and then be staffed by people who have specific expertise in the particular area of the world. This is a time of heightened conflict between China and Japan, and our attempts to stick our nose in and negotiate aren't particularly successful. So ultimately, by the end of the Taft presidency, you see Japan growing in power. Japan, who's already learned to be resentful of American naval might, growing in power, and that's going to have a deep resonance in the decades to come, and from our perspective, in the lessons to come. What I want you to do now, if you'll watch the next video in the playlist, certainly read section 22.5 of the OpenStax text. The next lesson in the playlist will be John Green's Crash Course U.S. History video that summarizes the period that we've just talked about. So keep watching. One more video in this lesson.